fall is in the air in Jana's kitchen. And today I thought, it feels like fall. I feel like apple pie. And so today I'm going to teach you how to make a slab, S-L-A-B, slab apple pie. And so this is my mom's recipe. I've had it since I was a child. And so I've got 8 to 10 Granny Smith apples. But if you have another favorite pie apple, all apples are not created equal. So do not use like Golden Delicious or something, or delicious apples of any kind, because they don't break down enough, I guess. And so Granny Smith is always my favorite. They're normally less expensive than some of the other ones. But if you have a favorite, I don't know if it's Jonathan my mom used to use, I don't remember, but she used to use Granny Smith's. So we're going to peel these 2 apples here real quick. And you can use these scraps in your compost pile or whatever. Get these done. I've already got 8 apples in here. And then I've got a cookie sheet out. And this is a really pretty quick recipe. You can tell these apples have been refrigerated for a little while. It's almost apple season. We used to take our children to the apple orchard when they were young every fall. Do you remember that, Erin? We'd go over to Fort Dodge and go to the apple orchard. And it was a fun day. Making memories that she doesn't remember. Huh? You remember picking raspberries out to the farm? And so you want to slice them fairly thin. You don't want to leave them too thick because they'll just cook easier and faster without burning the crust. So I'm just doing them nice and thin, maybe 1/8 to 1/4. And get him seated up here. I've got my oven preheated to 375 degrees. Okay, the thing is, after you get them all peeled, it's pretty simple. I always do a pinch of salt, because what does salt do? It brings out flavor. It won't taste salty. It was just a small pinch. 1 cup of sugar. That's a lot of sugar, but it makes lots of portions. And you can actually, I've even cut down and used 1/2 of a cup, but the recipe calls for 1 cup. That's my mom's recipe. But a lot of times I'll even put in 1/2 cup. I taste the apples and see how tart they are. And then I just stir these up. And by the way, this made about 4 quarts, 1/2 gallon of apples sliced. And all those imperfect apples that you can get at the orchard. Okay, so I've got this set aside. Next was our crust. Got some, whoopsie, sorry about that. Got some flour. This is 3 cups of flour. 1 teaspoon of salt. Get this out of the way. I'm going to stir that up. Next is 1 stick of real butter, not margarine, because margarine has too much water in it for this. And so I use a grater, and you can have frozen butter and grate it in frozen if you want to, because that makes a flaky crust. So there's that 1 tablespoon. So it's 1 tablespoon plus 1 stick of cold butter. See? So much easier than making those tiny little cubes. Watch your fingers when you get down to the end. You don't want to nick your nails. I happen to not have a manicure at the time because I've been doing my fall canning. And why bother when my hands are in the water all the time, because mine just don't do very well. So ignore the ugly fingers. Get all that goodness of butter, because that's what makes your crust flaky. Now I'm just going to gently stir that flour around the butter. It's kind of clumping together there, but that's okay. God's instrument works best. My hands are clean. You break out, you just want to coat that butter gently. You don't want to squeeze it. Just kind of get it all throughout the flour. Okay. Now, I have 1 egg yolk. I'm going to put that into a 1/2 measure cup. And then I'm going to fill that cup with milk. I'm going to gently put that in. Pop that yolk because it stirs up easier. To your dough. And all flour is different. Until you are actually in here, you don't know if you need more or less, whatever. Because all flour has, like today is super humid here in Alabama. I think it's going to maybe rain or thunderstorm. We have a chance today maybe. But it is super, super humid. And that changes everything about baking. Cooking, not so much. Baking, absolutely. See how that's kind of turning into peas? We might have to add a little bit more flour, or a little bit more milk. But we won't know for sure until I try and pinch some together. Oh, definitely need some more milk. And that's cold milk. So I'm going to mix this together and we'll be right back. Okay, so see how there's just very little flour left on the bottom here. But that'll work in. This is, see how it is on here? I had to add just short of a cup of milk total with that egg yolk. So every flour is different. This is all-purpose flour. And so go ahead and do like I said, start with a 1/2 cup and then gradually use cold milk until it gets to this consistency. It's not totally wet, but it's not dry either, okay? And it holds together easily. See? There you go. That's what we need to do. Then over here, I have allergies right now, so if I sound pluggy, it's because I am a little bit. And so I have a baking sheet. Jack, of course, always wants out when we're doing this. I have a baking sheet with parchment paper to fit the baking sheet for a reason. Because now I know what size to make my bottom crust for my slab pie. I'm going to take half the dough. I don't want to smash this. I don't want to squeeze it to pieces. There we go. And I've got another sheet of parchment paper. I'm just going to lightly pat this down, get that out of the way. Have my rolling pin. I'm going to roll this out to just short of these edges because then I know it's going to fit my baking sheet. And I really hope this doesn't stick. Who knows with this humidity today? Sometimes it does, but guess what? It won't matter. We'll get it. That's why you want to flour it well. I haven't tried doing it with foil. You can't really see under foil. This is a rustic dessert. See, working it into the size of the baking sheet, using that parchment, and work over the edges. It doesn't have to fit exactly. Like I said, this is rustic. And the miracle of television here, ha ha. A little sticky right there, isn't it? But it's okay, we're just going to use our fingers. There's a gnat flying in here. Doesn't surprise me because I just bought new bananas and these apples are sweet, so it's probably attracting them. And it's fall, and tomatoes and everything else, and I got a pineapple. Ta-da! And if you have a little extra over there, guess what? We pinch it off and put it over here. Like I said, this is rustic. Now I'm going to grab my baking sheet. Flip it on over. And now I'm just going to push it around. See, it's like kind of tall there. Guess what? I'm going to work that over into the corner. If you don't have a rolling pin, you can use a wine bottle. You can use your fingers. It'd be kind of hard, but anything that's round. I'm going to finish doing this and I'm going to be right back. Now we've got this all pressed in, and so I'm going to take about 2 cups of cornflakes. Why cornflakes? Well, 2 reasons. That it absorbs all of the juice that could possibly soggy up your crust. And you just want to get a thin layer because it really does help. And you can do this with regular pie too. Helps it from boiling over. And guess what? They taste just like apple. Like you don't go, oh, there's cornflakes in those? You would never say it. You don't even know they're there. Never even think about it. And I know they're in there, and I never think, oh, there's a piece of cornflake. So whatever it takes to cover the bottom of the crust. I don't want them real close to the edge because we have to pinch the edges off. Just like that. And that process right there, that step, I cannot begin to tell you how many times I've gotten all the way to this place. And then it's like, oh shoot, I already put the apples on and I forgot that. So then I had to take the apples off. That's how I first started out. And I have to really think it through here. I get the cart ahead of the horse with apple pie. So now I'm going to take those apples and we're going to spread them over this crust. And we're going to mound them up. Get all of that sugar and cinnamon off the bottom. Oopsie, there was a little pinch cup down in there. I didn't see it. I don't normally throw things. I just trying to stay out of the light of the camera. And so we're going to try and even these out all over this. And I'll be right back. Okay, we've got our apples on there, all arranged. Tried to get them all equally arranged on there. And so then I went ahead and did the top pie crust. And I rolled it out. And this is the size of our cookie sheet. The apples are mounted a little bit, so I always make the top crust a little bit rolled out more than the bottom crust because of that very reason, so that we can seal the edges. And so I'm going to fold this over real quick. Into quarters. Erin, I'm going to have you pull that sheet out for me. Clean up, because you know what? If you don't clean up your workspace, what happens? Underneath your pan gets all of this, and then it goes in your oven, and guess what? What a mess. And then you got to clean your oven, right? It's not perfect, but it's better than it was. Okay, so I want to make sure when I get this into quarters that that corner is all the way over to that corner. And then I'm going to pull this corner. And then I'm going to, just like blankets on a bed, we're going to roll it back up here. And if you get a hole in it like I just did, not a big deal. You just pinch it back together. That's why you need your dough to be moist, but not too moist, so you can work with it. Because if it's too dry, you aren't going to get anything done here. All right, I have a little too extra there. I'm going to patch it up in there. But that's, I'm going to qualify these as vents, like where it's kind of torn a little bit. Not a big deal at all. That'll just be a vent. So then I'm going to take the edges, I'm going to go around, I'm going to pinch them. Like I said, this is rustic. The edges are my favorite. They get a little extra brown kind of, but that's kind of what I like. And think of this apple pie. Look how many servings this apple pie is. For a dessert to only cost you 10 apples plus 3 cups of flour and a stick of butter, whew, pretty good priced dessert, I'd say. If you had to buy this in a store, it would charge you about $40, I'll bet. And it's homemade, and it is delicious. Great way to stretch your apples. Remember, this is apple season. Buy things when they're in season. Great way to stretch apples. There's apple pie bars. Look at that. Okay, so now there's a little bit here that needs to get pinched off. And I kind of push it up a little bit. Those are vents as far as I'm concerned. See, that's a vent. It's okay. No big deal. This is rustic, like I said. Now I've got 2 egg whites, room temperature. I'm going to wipe my hands off because I really do not want any of the fat from that pie crust to fall in there. And so they're room temperature, 2 egg whites, because remember we use 1 egg yolk to make the crust. And so you can use your electric mixer or a whisk. And we're going to froth these to a soft peak. And you can go backwards, go forwards. Can't do that with an electric mixer. This is old. You can see it's kind of rusty. I've tried my new ones. I don't like how they work. I've even got the old one with a green handle with the paint falling off of it. Okay, see? Soft peaks. There we go. Grab a spatula. And we're going to share this between the top. Because you know on apple pies, I put cream and brush it all over the top. With my apple pie bars or slab pie, I take it and I just brush egg white, and it makes the most beautiful presentation of a light golden brown, kind of that froth, kind of lightly browns on them. Just gives them a real pretty color. Makes your eggs go further, but yet you're getting protein too. Apples are very, very good for you. Probably not the 1 cup of sugar, but it is a treat. I used to make these and take them to the office when I was working full time. It was always popular. And it smells amazing. The aroma doesn't smell. My food doesn't smell. My food has a good aroma. Just like that. Now I'm going to stick it in the oven at 375 degrees for about 30 minutes. But at about 20 minutes, I'm going to turn the temperature down to 350 degrees just so that the crust doesn't get too brown. And these are going to bake about anywhere between, depending on your oven, between 35 to 50 minutes. That's a big difference, but it all depends upon the apples too. So I will test those and I'll show you how to do that. But we're going to go ahead and put this in. All right, I'm going to show you how to test these apple pie bars. Look at that. See what those egg whites on top do is they just make them beautiful golden. And I've got a sharp knife. You can also use a fork. Go through, and you can tell those apples are cooked all the way. Those are done, so I'll be back in just a few minutes after they start cooling down. What do you think of these beautiful slab apple pie? I'm telling you what, it is one of my favorite desserts. You can add a piece of, let's see, up north people eat cheddar cheese with their apple pie. But down where I'm from, we always had a scoop of vanilla ice cream. You're going to want to take about whatever your family likes. I don't know, for frosting, I don't do too heavy. Of powdered sugar, confectioner's sugar. I'm going to add about a teaspoon of vanilla. This is super simple. Well, I've got some milk. We're going to make a nice drizzle, a glaze to put over the top of these. This is optional. You can use clear vanilla too, but you'll see once this gets on here, it doesn't matter. Get it mixed up nice and smooth. You want it to be on the runnier side. Then I'm going to take that and I'm going to drizzle. See, it's kind of a caramel color with the darker vanilla. I'm going to drizzle the apple pie, slab apple pie, with this glaze. We're a family. You can hear people in the background because we're a family. That's what we are. We don't have to be quiet. And we're going to get it all streaked any way you want to. There's no wrong way or right way here. Just get a little bit on each piece. And these are still warm, not hot. There we go. Perfect. Those vent holes are sticking out, so I'm going to cover up those vent holes. See? Another vent hole right here. And these are done. We'll let them set for just a little while longer for that glaze to set up. And then I'm going to come back and I'm going to slice a piece of slab apple pie and share with you our delicious dessert today. Okay, we are back with the slab pie and it is time to serve. You can see how the glaze has set up on here. Look at that beautiful corner. You can see how this crust has developed. It's beautifully brown. I'm going to take a quarter piece for myself. This is not the best knife to use for that. Just a regular old table knife would be perfect. I don't think I cut all the way through. That's why I said it's not the perfect. Get that back up there. There we go. And look at that apple slab pie. Put a scoop of vanilla ice cream right there if you choose to, or butter pecan would be great too, or none at all. I'm telling you, thank you for stopping by Jana's Kitchen, and I hope you try this recipe. Please hit like below. Please hit subscribe over to the other side, and make a comment below. Thank you for stopping by Jana's Kitchen.